Hello everyone, how you doing? This is Lead Professor Q at your service, and it's time for instruction. Today we're going to go over Chapter 14, Determining Project Progress and Results in our Contemporary Project Management Plan-Driven and Agile Approaches 5th edition book. So let's go ahead and go in. Today we're going to talk about this. We're going to go over some project balance scorecards approach and internal project issues that come up in determining project progress and results. This is basically just a list of components covered in the determining project progress and results chapter. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's a couple of areas that we need to consider when dealing with the project balance scorecard approach. And we're going to just touch on this chapter very quickly. There's 5 aspects of project determination, and the project manager and decision making comes into play. And then there's a balance scorecard approach. So when talking about, there are 5 aspects of project determination. Determine can mean 1, to give direction or to decide the course of. 2, to be the cause of, to influence or to regulate. 3, to limit in scope. 4, to reach a decision. 5, to come to a conclusion or resolution. The project manager and decision making. During the project execution, a project manager may need to give directions, replan, influence, guard the scope, and then follow up to ensure the proper results are being delivered. Also, the project manager's decision making may involve personally making their own decisions, delegating decisions, being part of a group that makes decisions, then facilitating a decision-making process. Please remember this: as a project manager and decision maker, your team feeds off your energy, and your energy dictates the decisiveness of your decision making and the impact of your decision making. You follow these steps, you follow these guidelines, and you deliver them with energy and purpose. You should be all right within your project team. So let's go ahead and talk about the project balance scorecard approach. To successfully accomplish all 5 aspects of project determination and managing the project progress: direct, regulate, limit, decide, and conclude, a project manager can think in terms of a balanced scorecard approach. So, for example, when a project manager seeks to monitor and control the project, they must consider different critical aspects that are often interrelated and thus impact each other. For example, a proposed change in a project plan or execution approach may impact the scope, quality, schedule, and or cost. To understand project control, one must consider each aspect individually before assessing the impact on all other factors. So then let's go ahead and touch on internal project issues. So we can go into real quickly: direct and manage project work, monitor and control project work, monitor project risks, implementing risk responses, managing communications, and monitoring communications. This area of directing and managing project work. Directing and managing project work is performing the work as defined in the various components of a project management plan, including approved changes with an intent to accomplish the project objectives. Know this: the project management plan identifies the work to be accomplished, but the project manager or the appointee must tell someone when it's time to perform the work based on the project schedule baseline. Know this: approved corrective actions, preventive actions, unexpected constraints, and defect repairs may also trigger work to be authorized. And right here is just a grid to show this useful owner representation of skills and project trade-off decision making, whether it's a partnership, whether it's management, whether it's leadership, whether it's technical. Know that well-developed project charters, effective stakeholder management, and clear communication help the project manager make sensible trade-off decisions. Sometimes, as an owner, respective works closely. Sometimes an owner or a real close principal or sponsor respectively works closely with the project manager to make these decisions as well. Monitor and control project work. So monitor and control is the project work includes activities such as identifying work packages for tracking, reviewing, and documenting project progresses. So monitoring is reviewing the progress and capturing the project performance data. Controlling is accessing the actual performance obtained from monitoring. And note, a variance is a measurable depart from a planned baseline or expected value. So monitoring and controlling are not activities that are done only once. You're constantly doing this. Monitoring and controlling activities occur along with project execution. As such, monitoring and controlling are continuous. They're overarching part of a project's life cycle from project initiation through close. Know this, variance is often measured in quantitative terms, but qualitative measures cannot be ruled out as well. So it's variance is typically assigned a metric to understand a plus or minus variance. When dealing with monitoring and controlling decisions, this is just a grid that has the ifs and the then. So the results of monitoring and controlling a project schedule, budget, and risk, or anything else can range from minor to major depending on how close the actual progress is in the plan. So there are two types of control are used extensively in projects, and both compare actual performance versus the actual project plan. The one type is the steering control, in which the work is compared to the plan on a continuous basis to see if the progress is equal to, better than, or worse than the project plan. The second type of control is a go, no-go control. Go, no-go control requires a project manager to receive approval before moving forward in any stage of the actual project. So let's go ahead and talk about performance integrated change control. Performance integrated change control is reviewing all change proposals, estimating their impact on the project goals, wherever appropriate, approving or declining changes, and managing changes to deliverables, schedules, budgets, and the project management plan. The change control is a process wherein change proposals to various project planning elements are acknowledged, formally documented, and approved or declined after review. A change control board is a formal group authorized and responsible for reviewing, evaluating, approving, delaying, or rejecting any change to any aspect of the actual project plan. Know that change control includes considering the impact of any change, deciding whether to agree to change, and then documenting and managing that change. Since some changes may have a far-reaching impact, it is often wise to include people with diverse experience, knowledge, and skills on the change review board. So let's talk about monitoring project risk. Monitoring project risk is pretty straightforward. It's basically a process of adhering to the risk response plan of tracking identified risk, identifying the risk, monitoring residual risk, and evaluating effectiveness of the risk response process throughout the project. Monitoring project risk efforts. So efforts needed to monitor risk include tracking, identifying risk, executing the response plans, evaluating their effectiveness. Two categories of project management methods can be help to deal with the previously unidentified risk. One is recognize unknown risk. They may add a contingency reserve for time and budget. Also, you have to consider the level of project team control to mitigate the risk. So it's wise to consider multiple responses to a given risk. This is true both because some risk cannot be fully handled with just one strategy, and because the first strategy may not always be what we call the best strategy. Keep that in mind. Right here is just a grid of risk events, resolution strategies. We're not going to go into detail with that, but notice 3 columns: risk within a project control, risk partially within project control, and risk outside the project control. Let's take a look at this grid and see the correlations between all the columns. And this is just basically some strategies you can use for risk resolution. Implementing risk responses. When you implement a risk response, it is the process where you can where when a risk event occurs or is quite likely to occur soon, the person assigned to that risk executes the strategy identified in the risk management plan. So think of it like this: possible outcomes of implementing a risk response include updates to the risk register, approved change orders, and perhaps lessons learned so that both this project and future projects may avoid the same or similar risk event in the future. Let's talk about managed communications. So when we're managing communications, this is all the work connected with the project communications plan, starting with the planning for it, generating it, organizing and sharing it, and storing and disposing of it. This includes determining project information needs and establishing an information system. Then, while the project is underway during the execution phase, the project manager and the team determine any additional information needs that were not uncovered, collect information or execute on work that is in progress, and then report on this progress to all stakeholders. This may be via email, maybe via monthly reviews. This may be through internal communication systems. It's all determined by the project manager and the project management team. So when we collect information on executed work and WIP, right? Basically, these are typical questions to understand the progress being made, right? How well is the particular activity proceeding in terms of time and budget? How well is the entire project proceeding in terms of time and budget? How much more money will need to be spent to complete the project? To what extent does the quality of this work meet the actual requirements? And there's a couple other bullet points, but what I want to get to is this. The project manager has to gather the data on the work that they have authorized to understand the progress being made. This information is necessary for scheduling additional work, for understanding how the project is doing with respect to the schedule and assigned costs, and for quality purposes. This is all pertinent information to the project team and executives that are stakeholders that are associated with the project. So report performance, right? Ultimately, that's what project managers do. That's part of their job, is to be able to report on this performance. Work performance data is used to create work performance information and reports. Work performance information is the information from performance data collected from these processes, analyzed in the context, and then integrated considering relations across areas. Then you got work performance reports, or the compilation of work performance information in some physical or electronic form. The work performance data are the actual raw observations and measurements during execution and project activities. Once all the deliverables have been reported, the project team can update in the risk registers and the issues log. Approved changes, now keep this in mind, approved changes become part of the project plan with activities, responsibilities, and timing assignments. Last thing to consider, the project baseline will be updated once you do all this. Finally, the progress reporting meetings are a great time to capture lessons learned as well. This is it for chapter 14, determining project progress and results. If you have any questions or comments, just please put it on my comments fields. You have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.